The cold slam of the gavel echoed through the courtroom like a gunshot. "Order!" Judge Raymond Carter roared. His silver hair gleamed under the courtroom lights, and his sharp eyes swept the room like a predator. "This court finds the defendant guilty." A hushed gasp filled the air. 17-year-old Nia Thompson stood frozen, her dark eyes wide, her hands trembling at her sides. She hadn't done anything wrong, she knew it, and so did everyone who had paid attention to the case. But that didn't matter to Judge Carter. The charge? Stealing a teacher's expensive watch at school. There was no proof, just one girl's lie and Judge Carter's clear disdain for Nia from the moment she entered his courtroom. She had worn her school uniform, spoken politely, and even had her principal and friends testify on her behalf. None of it mattered. The judge seemed to have made up his mind before the trial began. Nia's mom, LaToya Thompson, stood up from the back of the room. "This isn't right. My daughter didn't do this. Sit down, or be held in contempt of court." Judge Carter snapped. Tears welled in Nia's eyes as an officer reached for her arm. "No, wait," she whispered. Can I make a call?" The judge sneered. "To who?" "Your boyfriend." Nia swallowed her fear and pulled out her phone. "No. My dad." She dialed quickly as the courtroom watched in silence. "Hey, Daddy," her voice cracked. "He just said I'm guilty." The judge, he didn't even listen. The man on the other end didn't yell or panic. He simply said, "I'm on my way." When Nia turned to face Judge Carter again, her fear was gone. "My father is the U.S. Attorney General," she said calmly, her voice rising slightly. "And he's coming." The room went dead silent. Judge Carter's face paled, his gavel trembling slightly in his hand. 20 minutes later, 2 black SUVs pulled up outside the courthouse. Secret Service agents stepped out first, followed by a tall, serious man in a dark blue suit. His presence commanded the room without a word. This was Malcolm Thompson, Nia's father, the top legal official in the country, a man who could investigate any judge, shut down corruption, and call on federal justice with one phone call. He didn't smile or greet Judge Carter. He walked straight to his daughter, gave her a hug, and turned to face the courtroom. "I want the entire court record from today," he said sharply. "All testimony, all surveillance footage from the school. Everything. Now." Judge Carter tried to speak. "Mr. Thompson, I assure you, we followed proper. You don't get to talk right now," Malcolm interrupted, his voice calm but carrying the weight of 1,000 judgments. "You made a ruling based on a single witness with no physical evidence. And I have strong reason to believe this isn't your first time unfairly targeting black children." Reporters outside were already picking up the story. Cameras flashed, phones recorded, and Judge Carter's face was on every screen within minutes. Malcolm turned to the officer who had tried to handcuff Nia. "Take your hands off my daughter. Right now." The officer backed off. Nia stood tall beside her dad, the same courtroom that had made her feel small, now powerless. Then Malcolm pointed at the school principal, who had spoken kindly about Nia during the trial. "You said the school security cameras weren't working that day." "Yes, sir," the principal replied nervously. "But the school maintenance log shows the cameras were serviced last week," Malcolm said, holding up a document. "So why weren't they working the day the watch went missing?" The principal stuttered. "You don't know." "You'll be answering that under oath," Malcolm snapped. Judge Carter slammed his gavel again. "This is highly irregular." "No," Malcolm said, stepping forward. "What's irregular is a racist judge sending innocent teens to detention because of the color of their skin. This court is now under federal investigation." Judge Carter dropped the gavel. That same evening, headlines blared. "Federal investigation opens on Judge Raymond Carter after wrongful conviction of black teen." By morning, his face was on every news station. They exposed his past rulings show he had sent dozens of black teens to detention with flimsy evidence, ignored defense witnesses, and never found a single white student guilty in his courtroom under similar circumstances. Malcolm didn't stop at clearing Nia's name. He reopened cases, dozens of them. Kids who had lost scholarships, jobs, even their freedom, were finally getting a chance to be heard again. Nia's case was dismissed completely, her record cleared. The real thief, a student named Chloe Bennett, admitted in a text to a friend that she'd stolen the watch to get Nia in trouble. The text was recovered the next day. Chloe was suspended from school and charged with filing a false report. As for Judge Carter, he was removed from the bench within a week, stripped of his robe. He left the courthouse not to applause but to boos from the crowd outside. And Nia? She didn't let the moment define her. Days later, she stood in front of her school and gave a speech. "I was nearly taken away for something I didn't do," she said, "just because of how I look. But I had someone in my corner. What about those who don't? That's why I want to be a lawyer one day to fight for kids like me." The students cheered. Her story went viral. Scholarships poured in from across the country. From almost being locked up to inspiring a national movement, Nia's voice echoed across America. The girl who once stood in fear now stood for justice.